How you guys doing? Welcome back to Preparedness 2021. Welcome back to Three Road Blades. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today I got a guest speaker. This is a very good friend of mine, Ken Stretz. Kenny is also a firearms instructor. What I decided to do today was to get a subject matter expert on training. We're going to dispel some of the myths about what you can have inside New York City, what kind of guns, that kind of thing. We'll talk a little bit about training. And I really wanted to bring somebody in that would really know their stuff and help me. And of course, I've taken tons of freaking classes from Kenny's, and it's always been great learning experience, all that good stuff. So, Ken, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm Ken Stretz. I own a company called Stretz Tactical, mobile firearms training company. I do handgun, shotgun, force on force, low light training for civilians, military, law enforcement, nuclear security. I've done some work in the entertainment industry. My background, some military training, some law enforcement stuff. Been involved in a shooting. Armor certifications, firearms instructor, in the police world as well. So that's kind of the real short and sweet on my background.
Cool. So one of the things we spoke a little bit earlier is the misnomer, or I want to say, basically, can you own a firearm in New York? Because I know a lot of people say, no guns, no guns, no guns. Can you own it, and how do you go about legally?
New York or New York City?
Well, let's talk about both of that.
Because I know the answer is yes.
Yes.
Whichever question
Second
you're
Amendment,
asking.
even here in this crazy state, you can own a gun.
It's a little more messed up in the city, obviously, than it is in the state. Not that the state is much better, but so I can tell you, I dated someone who lived in the city years ago. And we kind of delved into it because it was always like, oh, in New York City, it's impossible to get permit and all that. And it took her 4 months. Right. 4 months to get the permit. So, you got to go to 1PP, One Police Plaza. It's police headquarters down in Manhattan. I think you can download the application online first, if I remember right. This is a number of years ago now. But, you get the application and, fingerprints and all that stuff. I think it was like $400. So it's not... when you compare it to outside the city, I think they're charging like $100 or something like that for, fingerprint fees and all of that.
Right.
So it's more pricey in the city. So you could do it. And then the other thing is you're probably not going to get a concealed carry unless you can justify. There was that, I can't think of the news anchor, got the mustache. He did a thing, 60 Minutes or something. He had death threats. Right.
Okay.
Lived in Manhattan. He did a whole thing trying to get a full carry. Had 61s. Had police reports from NYPD, and they're like, right. Your life isn't any more valuable than anyone else's, so you can't have a full carry. You can have a pistol permit, you just can't have a full carry. But so for most people, you can get a premise permit in the city. And I'm not a New York City permit expert. I just know, from dating someone, and there was nothing special in her background that she was able to get the permit. It was just apply like, John Q. Citizen or Jane Q. Citizen in that case. Did the application, the fingerprints, the photographs, gave them the money, went down, met with an investigator, and was able to get the permit. The downside is, you can't have it loaded concealed on you. It has to be in the house. There's other restrictions, like you can only have 200 rounds of ammunition under the New York City Administrative Code. I think it's in the fire section, right? Because they're afraid that, 201 rounds, it'll burn,
it'll burn up.
Yeah, 200 is fine. 201, okay. The whole
So you can only have 200 rounds in New York City to practice to go to the range, basically.
So if you take a class that requires, 400 to 800 rounds for a day or two,
So you just have to go to the store before you go to the range, right?
Yeah, or you can just, have the ammo and hope
your house doesn't burn down.
Hope your house doesn't burn down.
Right.
And, most New York City cops, I was a New York City cop for a couple of years, most New York City cops don't even know that, right? It's in the administrative code. I think it's a misdemeanor if I'm not mistaken. So there's one thing. For a while you weren't allowed to leave the city to train.
Okay.
But
you can.
I'm pretty sure, and I'm not, again, check with NYPD and all that, I'm not no legal, that didn't sound like I had bad education. I am not a legal scholar, but I'm pretty sure that changed. that you can leave the city with your gun.
Okay.
So.
Well, what's like the parameters if I wanted to? So if I like you said, I got a premise permit, and I'm going to go to the range. What's like the procedure?
So again, this a couple years ago, the person I dated, what she would do is the gun had to be unloaded, locked in a box.
Okay.
Ammo separate.
Okay.
And that's how she had to go to the range.
Okay.
So,
and that's all completely legal. That's
all completely legal, and you know, it's a couple years ago, but I'm sure that probably hasn't changed. I know that the Firearms Policy Coalition is fighting New York State, and I'm going to assume New York City will fall under this lawsuit, because there's places outside of New York City, you know, you get up to Putnam County, Dutchess County, Rockland Orange, and places north, and you can get a full carry, whether it's immediately or get your up there to start with a targeted hunting permit first, and have your permit for a little while, take some live fire training with someone like me, I give you a certificate, you submit it, show them you have a safe in some jurisdictions, and then you resubmit, and you can have a full carry without any real justification that you need it. So New York City really don't have that option to to upgrade, but what was the? I kind of went off on a tangent there. The world's calling me here. What was the initial question? I know I kind of got.
So what I'm trying to do is there's like a huge misnomer of can I get a gun in New York legally? Yes, you absolutely can. There's different criteria. Obviously, there's a background check. And I think there's different levels.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's what I was.
And this is all on the NYPD's website, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
Licensing division, I believe.
So outside the city, you can get a full carry. In the city, you really can't. You know,
okay.
Mob's gonna get you or something like that. Retired law enforcement. So the Firearms Policy Coalition is suing at least New York State. Again, I think New York City will fall under that. Why should I have to show you that my life is valuable?
Right.
And you know, I should be able to, the Constitution gives me my right to keep and bear arms and defend myself. So the Firearms Policy Coalition is filed a lawsuit. They have a plaintiff or multiple plaintiffs. I'm not sure, you know, how many people are part of their lawsuit, but so who knows? Maybe statewide there will be a full carry, including New York City. We'll see. Okay. You know, like I said, there are places upstate that you can get it. Even though I'm a police officer, originally living in Westchester, mine, you know, they list your occupation, you know, whether you're a plumber, cop, whatever. Mine said police officer, said targeted hunting, right?
Okay.
It was like restricted. I moved further north, and I was able to upgrade. I had to go in front of a judge, explain why, you know, and they gave me a full carry. So some places don't want you to have that full carry, even if you're a cop, because, well, what if you're a bad cop? What if you get in trouble? Right. You know, and so you shouldn't be able to carry a gun if your job takes your guns.
So we really are restricted here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean no. What are some of the things that would stop your application process? What do you think?
Felonies.
Okay. So you can't be a criminal, obviously.
Yeah. Right? Some misdemeanors, right? Domestic violence, right? If, orders of protection, those type of things. So if you got those type of things in your background, you know, again, I am no legal scholar, and there's people out there that will help you if you got, you know, I don't say a shady background, because if you're a shady person, you know, I don't know, should you have a gun? You know, the Constitution applies to everybody, but if, you know, you got convictions for robbery and burglary and stuff like that, you know, maybe we don't want you having a gun. But the average person, you know, so there are some limitations as far as that. The other thing, even if you were to get a full carry, and this is really crazy, a couple of my students live in the city. One's in Queens and one's in Manhattan. Guy in Manhattan's a retired judge, and the guy in Queens is retired NYPD detective. They're limited to 2 firearms for that permit. 2.
That's it.
So we like when you're a cop, it's like, yeah, you can buy 75,000 guns, right? They're all on your, you know, they call it the C form, or on your badge, as other people say, but registered, you know, through your job to the state police. You have as many as you want. They put it on, you know, NYPD calls it a 10 card. Every other job, however they keep track of them, they keep track of them. But, oh, you're retiring today? And you want to... Hey, listen, you know, get rid of the 7,498 other guns and just keep 2. Pick the 2 you want.
Wow.
You know, sell your property.
Right.
We don't trust you anymore because now you're retired. We trusted you yesterday, but today you're retired and we don't trust you anymore.
Wow.
Only have 2. There's other weird things that a guy hit me up one time on social media. He's like, hey man, I just picked up a CZ Shadow 2 from this gun shop up in Rockland, and NYPD, like, you get your permit, then you get your gun, and then you got to bring the gun down to One Police Plaza to get it inspected, right? So he takes it in the permit office, and nothing wrong with a CZ Shadow 2, and 10-round mags, like he didn't go over the mag capacity. Yeah, that's one of the restrictions, right? New York City and New York State, you have 10-round mags unless you're law enforcement. He brings it in, and he'd filled out the paperwork to add the gun to his permit, and they're like, "You can't have this." It's like, "Why? It's not like an assault weapon or nothing." Well, it's whatever the hell it was, orange or purple or it was.
Oh, because it has the fancy grips on it, right?
Well, the frame was a different color, and I don't think it was. I'm saying like orange and yellow, whatever the color was, it wasn't black or stainless steel. Like if you don't, so I don't know how it ended up. But did he have to send the gun back
and get painted? I don't know.
Yeah, or like, could you paint it or whatever? Like, how does that work? So, there are crazy restrictions in here. So you can have.
So the answer is we definitely can have them, but we're really, really, really restricted.
You can have long guns too.
Yes, we can have long guns.
You can have almost an AR-15. You can have a shotgun. You can have an M1A, which is a semi-auto M14 for you that don't. Yeah. For use, we're not in Long Island. Yeah. For you that don't know that, so almost an AR-15. What does that mean? Fight Light SCR. Yeah. So that the bottom half is like a Remington. What's the semi-auto version of the 870?
870. Like 9. No, that's Mossberg. 9,
so
10,
picture like a shotgun lower with an AR-15 upper. So you got the upper receiver from an AR-15, no flash suppressor. That's bad. That's scary. Yeah. No bayonet lug. Right. Take that. You made it to like a semi-auto shotgun lower that has a 5.56 magwell, if this makes sense. And you can go to just punch in Fight Light SCR. You can see it. Only 5 rounds in your rifle.
Oh, so only 10 rounds in the pistol. 5 rounds in the rifle.
Yeah. Yeah, because 11 rounds in a pistol or 6 rounds in a rifle.
Felon. That's it. Going to jail.
Yeah. All right. Well, and everyone dies. We all die.
Everybody dies. If you pick up a gun, you die. Right.
And then try to find, because I know this again, the person I dated, I bought her a Fight Light SCR, and trying to find 5-round mags that function well with that gun. Oh my God, that was a problem.
So really restricted. But here's another thing. All right, so let's talk about.
Hold on. You have to go to Queens for that permit to the rifle section.
For the rifle shotgun section?
Yeah, it's a different section, and it's less
not in Manhattan, right.
Yeah, right. So it's Queensboro Hall, and it's, anyway.
A whole nother animal. Yeah. All right, so we're restricted, but we can have guns, all right? So a lot of people are going to ask, well, what do you do in New York for self-defense if you want to defend yourself with a gun? What is some of your choices? 911, right.
Wait, a half hour? Okay, all right. All right, tell my family I love them.
Right, okay. Right, so we've had riots, we've had massive looting, we've had problems in New York City. Everybody's well aware of the problems that we had. Cops were handcuffed, not able to do their jobs. 911 was blowing up. There's really no way to... So what happened, and especially in this country, is gun sales went through the roof, right? So not to get on any type of political rants, but people in their core know that when there's a problem and you cannot get help, you have to defend yourself. Yeah. What are some of the firearms that you would recommend for a first-time buyer to help protect their home and their family? It's a big question.
Yeah, it is a tough question.
Because everybody always says, get a shotgun. It's legal in New York. Get a shotgun.
Yeah,
get a shotgun.
And then, you're inside the city too.
So I know our options are limited, but...
I would say a handgun is probably easy to maneuver in your house. Like a shotgun, you can make it work with training and stuff like that. But moving through buildings and rooms, you're a Marine, you know what I'm talking about. It's when you got something with an 18-inch barrel and a full stock, it's a little harder than a pistol that you can compress in and Listen, I could shoot the gun like this if I had to, if I got to get in a tight space or whatever. So probably a handgun. Now the caveat is it takes a lot more effort and training, and dedication to become accurate. Okay.
Well, that's why we have you here. Yeah. Right. That's why we have you. Yeah, guys, this is no joke. Like I met Ken how many years ago? a long time ago.
2014, 15?
Yeah, and I met him through a training class, his training class, and we've been friends for a long time. But I mean, I still take his classes, so training is definitely going to be huge.
And it's perishable. Like
Yeah.
I went on the range today. I hadn't shot in a few weeks, and even before that, a few weeks more. Doing some demos, at work or for my classes, and I was like, man, for most people it wouldn't be so bad, but I know normally I shoot better than that. And I started out with some really fundamental stuff on the range today, ball and dummy drills and some dry fire, because I knew, I'm like, man, I gotta tighten my stuff up. So even if you can shoot at a really good level, you're very accurate, you're very fast, you know how to balance the two, it's a perishable skill.
Right.
It really, really is.
Right.
It's kind of like, I don't know the last time you shot a precision rifle, but
Yeah.
having been a sniper now, I'm sure your younger self would be laughing at you if you haven't kept up on it.
Well, right, and then our ranges are very limited here.
Well, yeah, there's
300 yards max if we can
Yeah.
get that, or you got to go to Pennsylvania. So
Yeah.
shout out to my Pennsylvania folks. Handgun is what you would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the shotgun. There goes another thing, though. Myths and misconception of the shotgun. If I rack it, they'll run away.
They'll run away.
You
What
can't.
it's true.
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
not. Not even close.
You can't miss with a shotgun.
Right.
Come to a class and see that.
Right.
Or just, YouTube is your friend. There was a guy in, where the hell was it? South Carolina or something. He basically got in a gunfight in the vestibule of his house, fired multiple shots, multiple bad guys there, and he missed them.
Yeah.
If I need more than one round, there's a problem. Well, you're an idiot if you say that. And there's a story out of LAPD, and I got this from Scott Reitz, who former LAPD SWAT guy and instructor, and he has a training company out there in California. But there was the SAS, it's kind of like their stakeout squad.
Right.
SIS, Special Investigation Section, something like that. Basically, they're staking out the banks, waiting for a robber, and the robber comes, he sees him with the mask, and he goes to the bank, comes back out, police don't move, bang, shoots him, I believe it was in the abdomen with 00 buck from a shotgun,
Right.
and the guy standing there cursing him out. Like, you MFer, get your supervisor here, you effing shot me, this bullshit, blah, blah, blah.
Pay me.
Yeah.
Right, pay me.
Now, they are deadly. I did see a dude get shot in the head with a shotgun. I don't know if it was a slug or buckshot, but it was like a can opener. Opened up the top of his head.
Right.
The brain was gone. We didn't find it. There was a piece of a skull, 15, 20 yards away, and it was clean. There was no flesh. I mean, devastating, right? Shotguns can be devastating, but you can miss. And then what about body armor, right?
Yeah.
I've shot different types of body armor, older, newer, using different types of slugs and buck. It'll stop buckshot. Slugs, it's kind of a roll of the dice for a while there. Some of the older vests I had, reduced recoil slugs would get stopped.
Right.
Some of the newer vests I've shot, it's gone right through, and different types of reduced recoil. So it's really no telling what'll happen, and that's another thing. Body armor is a real thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while because I don't work in the higher crime areas as much anymore, or I border those areas. But when I worked in the higher crime areas, you see body armor.
Yeah.
And bad guys are out there, and I have New York City cops and other high crime area cops that come through classes, and it's like, we'll talk about it in class, like, all right, who's a cop here? All right, how many times have you seen body armor? Yeah, one or two or three, once, maybe I haven't seen it yet, whatever. So it's out there, and now just look at 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
You got, all these protesters and Antifa and BLM and all of that, and they got Kevlar helmets, night vision, plate carriers, ARs, others. They got all of these things. So don't think for a second that the person or people that break into your house, because it's not always a burglar, sometimes it's multiple burglars,
Right.
that they won't be armed with body armor and rifles. And if you're not out there training, do you suck? Number one.
Right. Right.
Are you?
Well, we only get 10. So
you got to make them count.
You got to make them count, right?
Unless you tape them together, you can, it's legal or whatever.
Carry reloads.
Yeah.
Right.
So will you be moving down the hall to get your kids because you heard the front door,
Right.
getting kicked in, and you have to shoot as you move. At night, do you practice shooting on the move? Do you practice low light? Do you have a light on your, on your long gun, on your handgun, whatever the case may be? Are you getting your hits? Will it be enough to just fire the shots and that'll scare them away? I saw a video recently where that was the case. The guy started.
2 shots.
Well, the guy was shooting through the door. Yeah, buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun.
You know, so there's a lot to that. So handguns are harder to master, but in close quarters for an untrained person, you can move it around. Where the shotgun, I can see people, you know, getting caught on doorways or you know, pulling it out from under the bed. And, you know, there's another thing is like having the gun ready to go. You know, you get this. When this conversation comes up, people are like, all right, ammo separate, gun over here, you know, this is all locked up. Okay, boom, 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 boom. You hear someone kicking your door in. Oh, what is that? Am I dreaming? Like, you know, whatever. And now you got to, like, run to your room that your safe is in. You know, open the closet door. You know, and 72 to the right, 22 to the left. Oh, shit. I passed it. Let me go. Like... And then you got to open it up and you know, take the trigger lock off and load it. Like, it's not realistic. You know, you do you, boo boo, but the gun should be loaded, like completely loaded. You know, there's talk about in the shotgun or patrol rifles. You know, condition 3, empty chamber loaded magazine. Cops on patrol, a lot of them. You know, and I'm a cop, I could say it. A lot of them are morons. And even if they're not, they're switched on. You know, you're not paying attention, or you don't check the gun before you got it. You know, because patrol rifles and shotguns are rack grade guns, so you're getting it. Who had it before you? I've had guns that were already loaded that shouldn't have been for whatever reason. So cops will generally keep an empty chamber loaded magazine, whether it's a magazine tube in a shotgun or a magazine in you know, a rifle or something. So do you want to keep it like that? You know, now you got to rack the action or on the shotgun or chamber round with the carbine. You're probably better off keeping it fully loaded. And that's another reason why, you know, again, you don't have full carry in New York City except for a select few. The handgun, you know, I have all sorts of things in my safe, right? I don't pop out, you know, my short barrel rifle with the suppressor and throw it on the nightstand and chamber around every night. I take my pistol off and I lay it down, and my pistol's got a flashlight and a red dot, and I got another flashlight laying next to it, and it, you know.
And then, you know, listen, if you have children and you're watching this, obviously that's not an option, but we do have those nice safes that have the biometric and,
but make sure, because some of those biometric things
where they have the key or whatever.
I have one that a company gave me, and sometimes you don't roll your finger just perfect, and we even had some doors at the police department that were like that for a while, and if you didn't get it just right, it wouldn't open. Now think about when you're scared shitless, it's the middle of the night, and you know, your kid's crying and you know, pulling on you, and you're so you got to find out, you got to find what works for you. What can you do to secure this gun and keep it from kids or burglars, right? People generally keep their home defense guns in their master bedroom. Well, guess what else you keep there? Your jewelry, your cash. 9 times out of 10, when someone breaks into a house, and I've been in a lot of burglaries, they go right for the master bedroom. So if you keep your gun unsecured there, you know, can a burglar get it? So you got to secure it from bad guys who might break in. You know, your crazy cousin John or whoever that you know, you're having a party. Whoa! You know. And kids as well.
Cousin Vinny.
So you got to secure it, but it's got to be, you got to get it out like that, because you got to think about that delay. You know, am I really hearing what I'm hearing? You know, did something fall off the shelf, or which happens, right? Or is this really a home invasion or whatever? And that's time that you don't have, and now you got to go get the thing out of whatever container you're keeping it in, and then load it if you're not keeping it loaded. So my advice, you know, I mean, you can't walk around your house. You could walk around your house, you know, with your shotgun slung across your chest, but your wife would probably not appreciate that. You know, so
okay, so New York City, very restricted. Recommend you know, a pistol is probably the most maneuverable. You could use one hand for this, you know, and then one hand to defend yourself.
Move your kids out of you know, off camera,
harm's way.
Push your kids behind you, if you know, if you had that type of
So you offer training,
all
right, and training is going to be huge. If you're going to buy a firearm, you got to get your training. It's not just going to the range and putting a couple in the bullseye. What classes do you teach at Stretz Tactical?
So I kind of teach the gamut, right? So in the handgun realm, one of the classes, like I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. They're just getting their permanent application put together. It's like, hey, what should I take? You got to take your handgun safety class. I don't even think New York City makes you do that, but outside the city, you got to take this like 5-hour safety class. I don't do the safety class. The next thing after you got your safety class, you got your permit, that I recommend is my 4-hour handgun marksmanship clinic, and I think you've taken that.
Yep.
It's super, geared towards becoming an accurate pistol shooter. Why? Because that is the toughest thing to learn how to do with the pistols, to be accurate. And even if you've had your gun for a while, you got to kind of put your ego aside and go, hey, I need to be better. I grew up as a gun guy. I remember qualifying with the police department, and I'd shoot like these 18-inch groups at 25 yards. But in the back of my head, I'm like, how do these tier 1 special operators shoot? How does like a Rob Latham, and I didn't know who Rob Latham was at the time, but these world-class, the Jerry Michuliks and all that, how do these guys shoot at distance? And when I started to train with people like Larry Vickers, who made me an accurate pistol shooter, and I watched him, 25 yards, freestyle, strong hand only, support hand only, we go down, look at the targets. He laughs, oh, I drop one. There was one in the 9 ring, and the other, 50 rounds, 49 rounds are in the X and 10 ring. So you kind of got to understand, what does it mean to be an accurate pistol shooter? So I recommend that as kind of the jumping off point. You get your initial, how do I load the gun and all of that, from a range.
Right, basic course.
That type of thing. Next thing, learn how to be accurate. And then from there, learn how to work on your speed and manipulate the gun. What do I mean by manipulate the gun? Reloads. There's, in the basic class that you get for your permit or whatever, it's like, okay, magazine, gun, put magazine in gun with bullets in it, pull the slide back, okay, load it now unload, it's very caveman.
Right.
When I say really manipulate the gun, it's like, what happens when you get a click instead of a bang, or you get a double feed, or stovepipe, or any of these malfunctions? How do I get the gun back into action quickly? Reloads. I shot the gun until a slide locked back and I got an empty gun. How do I quickly and efficiently reload the gun? Or I fired some rounds, and remember, we're in New York, so we already have a reduced capacity pistol, 10 or less. You can do one in the chamber, so best case scenario, if you're a civilian in New York, you have 11 rounds in your gun. So you fired some rounds, 1, 2, 10, whatever. You're probably not going to know how many you fired. How about topping the gun off, right? And how do you do that? It's called a tactical reload, and we go over things like that in my one-day basic tactical pistol class. So for our marksmanship, all about accuracy. Next step, manipulating the gun, shooting faster, one-day tactical pistol. And we do a lot of other stuff in there. Shooting on the move, I think you've done that class too. Draws, presentations. Now, if you're got a premise permit only and you're not concealing, does the drawer really pertain to you? Not now, but it might. And when you go to the range, at least you have something. Instead of just putting the gun down on the counter, you can have the gun in your holster. And if things change in New York, you're going to be ahead of the power curve by training now and learning how to draw from a holster now. And who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully you guys will be able to have concealed carry. And then that would be the next step. So 4-hour marksmanship, 1-day basic tactical pistol, 2-day advanced pistol. Well, now we got moving targets. Sometimes I'll pull out the turning targets, so you might have a target turn that's a shoot, and at the same time a no shoot, or 2 shoots, 2 no shoots, or he's got a shoot and I got a no shoot, but I see him shoot, so I shoot, and it's like, you just murdered someone, right? But you'd rather learn that on the range. So then I have a 4-hour and a 1-day low light pistol class. So something goes bump in the night, you're moving down the hallway in your house, like, how do you light things up? How do you, oh, that's easy, I just hold my flashlight and my gun. Okay, what happens if you get a double feed now? So you fired that round, and then you get a double feed. What do you do with the flashlight? What do you do with the gun? Like, oh shit, so there's that. I do force on force. So what force on force is there's different companies that make this ammunition. So it's real guns, modified either by the factory or aftermarket. The instructor will buy a kit that converts this live fire gun to a less lethal, well, not even less lethal, a training cartridge, right? You'll have a real shell casing and primer, and a fire a colored projectile, leave a paint marking, and it'll bruise you up. You got to wear helmets and groin protection and all that. But we put you in scenarios like home invasion, or a liquor store, robbery or something like that, or a carjacking. And yeah, this more pertains to a concealed carry holder, but you can get a lot out of it for if you only have a gun for home defense, because you're learning how to think.
Right.
And shoot, because guess what? Shooting has to be on autopilot. All your weapons manipulations have to be on autopilot. So even if you only have a gun for home defense, the force on force class is good to get your mind right. So there's probably a few other ones that I'm missing off the top of my head, but shotgun training. I do a 1 and a 2 day shotgun class, and we cover the gamut. Birdshot, buckshot, administrative load, unload. We'll go over everybody in the class's shotguns, because everybody will have something different. What are the pros of this and that, and what are the cons of this and that, and how do you store extra ammo? How do you feed the gun? Patterning your buckshot, right? Like, how far back can I shoot, from the target before it's like, hey, that's a little too far. So maybe in this part of my house, because I got a big house or a long hallway or something, well, maybe I got to switch to a slug. Well, how do you do that quickly and efficiently? Or, hey, that's pretty far away, let me just switch to a slug right away. Or I think they have body armor on, let me switch to a slug. And how do you do that without jacking out all sorts of rounds on the floor? So, and then we'll do the same thing, shooting on the move, multiple targets, moving targets, stuff like that. And then the carbine stuff. So we talked a little bit about it before. Yes, you can have carbines in the city, something like the Fight Light SCR. Yeah, you're limited to 5+1, but outside the city, people only have 10+1 in their rifles. So a lot of people are dealing with that as well. So all the same stuff: marksmanship, how to set up your gun, presenting the gun, clearing reloads and malfunctions. And we're in crazy times right now, so if you lived in a building somewhere, even in the city, I'm not going to say his name, but a very well-known actor, a buddy of mine that works in the entertainment industry, hit me up and said, hey, this person here was living with his parents, taking care of him. He was doing some stuff here in the city. He had a long-term gig. And he's looking out his window during all the stuff in 2020 and going, I need a gun. And
blowing up,
and he's a gun guy, and we kind of got to keep that on the down low anyway, because in the entertainment industry, you're a bastard if you like guns.
If you like guns.
But so my buddy hit me up that he knew, and like, hey, how does he get a gun? And it's like, well, you don't really live here. You're here, and there's like a whole other situation. But he was watching the neighborhood burn down. Well, what happened if they got into his building? Or if his parents like calling for, hey, we're downstairs, like, oh my God, you got to come down and save us, and NYPD ain't coming. Well, me and you do you. I'm gonna get my shotgun if that's all I got, and I'm gonna go get mom and dad, and we're gonna get them upstairs. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's time to get out of the neighborhood, and I'm gonna lead mom and dad to the car.
Right.
And that was one of the things that the girl I dated lived in Manhattan. We had a bug out plan for her. And part of it included, taking her rifle apart, putting it in a backpack, and keeping her pistol concealed on her, because that's against the law. But you know what else is against the law? Dying. It's against my law.
It's against the principles. All right. So, like I said, so we're talking about get some training, get your pistol, get on the range. I know ammo's a little bit expensive, all that stuff, but we got options, guys. This is about preparedness. This whole series has been about preparedness. I wanted to bring a subject matter expert like Ken. Like I said, Ken and I do a lot of work together. That's an old one. Don't even
give me one, because I was bringing up a point, right?
There you go.
Here we go.
This
is New York City legal right here.
Right. So,
but think about that, right? And I don't think John teaches knife fighting stuff.
No, I don't. That is not my thing.
Or if you have, like, there's a couple of knives that are probably New York City legal that you could
carry. 4-inch blades.
Yeah. So can you grab one of those?
Give me one.
There you go. So think about this, and I'm no knife fighting guy. I've taken some classes. Matter of fact, I got one coming up with a Navy Special Mission Unit guy, where it combines pistol and knife fighting, combatives and medical and all that. But think about something like this, right? You got a gang of guys, and they're going to jump you or whatever. Learn all your laws and find out what's legal. But guess what? If you could shoot someone and you don't have a gun, but if you did, you'd be legal to shoot them. Can you stab them? Can you cut them? Deadly physical force is deadly physical force. So, look at a couple of years back, the thing on the West Side Highway, right? When they surrounded that car, they're beating on it, and that guy's like, man, my wife and kids are in the car, and he gunned it.
Yeah, he ran
people over and plowed over some, motorcycles. He didn't get charged, to
Yeah.
the best of my knowledge. So deadly physical force is deadly physical force. If someone's trying to kill you, you know, if you shoot them, you stab them, you run them over, you hit them in the head with a baseball bat, it really doesn't matter. You know, as long as you're legally justified to do, you know, what you're doing, it doesn't matter what tool. You know, be careful with knives, you know, less than 4 inches, right?
Yeah, 4 inches or less.
Yeah.
And it can't be double-sided. It has to be
yeah.
single-sided.
No daggers,
Yeah,
dirks,
no daggers,
pylon
dirks,
ballistics,
yeah, no ice
butterflies,
picks, no weird stuff.
You know, any of that stuff. So you want to be prepared, and you're like, well, man, it takes 4 months to get my pistol permit and all of that. Well, it doesn't take 4 months to hit up Three River Blades and get a. Do you have a concealed carry specific model knife that you offer?
You just have to check the website. That's all. So I mean, and listen, you know, my blades are useful for everything. Not just I try not to delve too much into the self-defense realm of knife carry because that's not really my genre. But you know as well as anybody, you know, the world is crazy. You know, you have to protect yourself. You know, you definitely are going to go to court if something bad happens. You better have a good lawyer.
And self-defense insurance is illegal in New York thanks to Cuomo, which is crazy.
So, how do people get in touch with you to take your classes?
Sure. So the company, I'll try to zoom it in here for the Stretz Tactical, right? STRETZ Tactical. If they go to stretztactical.com, they can find all about me. My full bio is there. My class schedule is on there. Also, if you're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, just at Stretz Tactical. And please give me a follow, like. If you see a video, you know, whatever, leave a comment, smash the like button there. And if you ever got a question about anything, you know, my phone number is on the website, and it goes right to my cell. Or, you know, shoot me an email if you're, you know, don't have time to talk on the phone. And I promise you, I will get back to you.
So awesome. Guys, like I said, this is like I said, subject matter expert, and if you guys really like this type of content, let me know. Put all the links down below. I'm going to put all the links to Ken's information. I'll put all those links down below, so what you got to do is click on it. Follow him on YouTube. See, you guys are already following. So follow him on YouTube as well. He puts out a lot of videos. Give him some likes, give him some subscribes, do all that good stuff. Guys, I need you to do me a favor as well. Do like, subscribe, share this video. Let people know that you are legally allowed to own firearms in New York, and you definitely need to get training. Also, go to threeriverblades.com. Check out all the knives that I have up there. Get on the mailing list, and also go to Stretz Tactical for all your training. So thank you very much, guys. And
thanks for having me, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, stay safe.